at this point, students, you should have done parts 1, 2, and 3 so far in your task. We want to look now at part number 4. Part 4 says calculate the mean absolute deviation for the show's samples. So mean absolute deviation. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to find the absolute value of each of the individual data points from that sample's mean. So we have to first find that absolute value, and then we're going to find the mean of all those absolute values. We want to know how far does it deviate? How different are each of these data points, or the collective group of data points, from the average for the data points? So we're going to do this in a couple steps. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to calculate the absolute value of a point from its mean. So I'm going to click right here. This is where I'm going to put all those absolute values. I need to find the absolute value of 6 from 6 1/10. I need to find the absolute value of 5 from 6 1/10. And yes, I could calculate this in my head. I could do these calculations over and over again, or I can have the sheet do it. So you get to decide. Do you want to just do it in your head and subtract each time? Make sure that you have the absolute value so you're measuring that positive distance and not putting in negative numbers, so you could calculate it that way, or I can show you how to do it with the Google Sheet. To do it with the Google Sheet, again, we want to put in a formula. So I'm going to put in equal sign and then absolute, or ABS, the absolute value of. And this is where I'm going to put in a short little expression. I want to subtract this mean. I want to subtract from it every single time I want to subtract one of these values right here. So I'm going to do that. But if I were to replicate this particular formula, Google Sheets is going to do its best to guess, but it's going to try to guess that I mean the next value in the row or the next value in the column. And I want every single time for it to choose this mean. So I can put in a $sign. If I put a $sign in front of the M, it tells Google Sheet that I always want to use something from column M every single time. And so if I did that, then Google Sheets might start working down column M and go from M2 to M3 to M4. But I don't want it to use these other values. I want it to always use the value that's in row 2. So again, I put that $sign in there. This is called using it as a relative value. I want it to use it every single time. So I'm going to do that every single time I want it to use this value, and it's going to subtract B2. But that can change. I want it to be smart enough to know that the next one I want it to subtract is B3. So let's see if Google Sheets predicts what I want to do correctly. So I'm going to go ahead and press enter. Notice the absolute value of the distance between this mean, 6 1/10, and 6 is 1/10. We could calculate that in our heads. Well, we want to see if it will be smart enough to subtract the next thing that I want. Yes, I still want it to use that same mean, but I want it to subtract C2. And it predicted correctly. Awesome. So I'm happy that that prediction is correct. So if I go ahead and paste each time, notice 6 1/10 minus 4 is 2 1/10. So if I paste in each of those boxes, or if I hold my trackpad down and highlight multiple cells at the same time, I could then press Control V to paste. And it will paste that formula as it predicts what I want it to do. And notice it is predicting correctly what it is that I want it to subtract. So go ahead and do that. Either calculate it mentally or with a calculator one by one, or create a formula like this and let Google Sheets calculate everything across the row and put the values in there for you. Go ahead and do that for samples 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Find those absolute values of these individual data points from the mean of that sample. And then we'll check back in.